Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, and I'm joined by my trusted and somewhat frustrated partner, Matt Pickett. Let's cheer him up. Hi,
Oh my
Matt.
goodness. No, we're just doing some technical stuff here. For those who are joining us live, we had to start
Sorry,
a
we're
little late because it's just some technical stuff, which is getting real annoying.
It's
But
annoying.
other than that, otherwise we're doing good. We're doing good over here, right, Don? You doing good?
I'm doing well. I'm still recovering, and I'm doing well with that. And I'm learning how to do the Miss Maisel dance. Have you seen the Maisel? Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that one too.
When I think Don DeKisto, I think up on the latest TikTok dance crazes. That's synonymous in my head. So
No.
that's no surprise to me then, of course.
So Maddie's a little bit frustrated because we have a shared working document for our show and we both dump our stuff in there, and somehow Matt thinks I erased his on purpose.
I don't know what happened. I don't think Don did anything on purpose. I think either one of us could have messed it up, but
No,
no, it's all good. It's all good.
The document's a little weird. There were some changes to it that neither of us understand, but we're gonna do our very best to get through our show.
I'm gonna blame the Russians. Actually, I think it's an act of like Russian cyber aggression, is what it is. Just weird little stuff like that. So thanks, Russia.
Thanks a lot, Russia. So it's great to see you, Pappy. Long time no see. Hopefully I'll be back with a relaunch of my true crime channel soon. I've just been thinking about it, but I got to finish. It still kind of hurts to wear glasses because I had sinus surgery, and so there's a lot of swelling right in there. So if I wear glasses for a while, it's a little uncomfortable. And I have to read. I need them for reading. Anywho, so pretty busy week, Maddie, at school?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the grind through the orientation season, just kind of getting through all the students, but I'm making good pace through it, good progress. Really happy with how things are going with that, actually. Kind of feel like I'm in the groove, And other than that, I'm trying to think what else happened recently. We had Juneteenth off, so it was good to, have today to celebrate that. And so last week when we went to go see the new Spider-Verse movie, which we really enjoyed, so that was a good time. And what else can I say? I'm doing well over here. Yeah,
I like it. I like it.
And what's new with you, Dawn? What you been up to this last week other than recovering?
Trying to tend to my little garden. We're on the beach here. We get a lot of fog, May gray and June gloom. And then as soon as June 21 comes, it's sunny. And so my flowers have like doubled in size overnight.
Nice.
So that's nice. I don't care about fog. I like foggy gray. I love it. I shouldn't really be living in Southern California. I should be like in London or Seattle. But my flowers don't love it. They're like not growing. So, and we love you too, Pappy. It's so good to see you.
No doubt.
So yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm tooling around a little bit more. I'm not laying around watching tennis 24 hours a day. Get up, make the bed, get moving. So I'm at that stage of my recovery where it's not such a grind. Yeah, I'm doing great.
Good.
Well, Maddie, this is weird. Okay, so we have somewhat of an outline. I have mine, thankfully.
I know mine are. I'll be able to just kind of do it as we go here. No problems.
So how about we do some superlatives from the week? And to give you a chance to think yours through, and mine's kind of thematic, should I go first and just do mine? Or would you like to go first? Okay.
No, that'd be fine.
All right. So mine are superlatives, but they're also along the line of the Oh, some of my script is gone too. That is so weird. It's like I forgot what I called it. It's kind of part of my fraternizing with the enemy series, but more team generated, not just a player. And we did the Bears last time. I'm doing the North, just our 3 division rivals. So I did the Bears, and the Bears were the biggest waste of time. If you're keeping at home, this week is the Vikings, and I forgot what I called them. That's what they were. And they're not here. That's missing from my that is so weird. That's missing. Weird. But I will have that superlative for you before we go tonight.
All right. Stupid Russians.
Russians. They're in favor of the Vikings. That kind of makes sense. Okay, so I listened to some podcasts, and the podcast is called Purple Insider. Okay. And so I was in effort to know thy enemy, keep your friends close and your enemies close. I kind of wanted to just see what's all about in those worlds. And so the first one I looked at, I paid attention to, and I listened to several podcasts by the same outfit. So I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of different podcasts. In fact, I'm not even going to tell you where to find these because they're the Vikings. So I just thought it was interesting to see how the Vikings feel about their schedule for the upcoming season. And what was interesting is, I think that wasn't the first podcast I listened to. The first podcast I listened to was a completely different subject matter. But the first thing, like the first segment, was, guess what that was all about? The Packers.
Packers, of course.
I'm like, really? I mean, I listen to a lot of content. You listen to a lot of content. Sure, our creators who are creating for Packers content are going to mention other teams once in a while, but you don't open up. I mean, it was literally, I thought the title said something completely different. So, cheapest rent, living rent-free in the Vikings' head. There we go. That's the first one. I just did that one on the fly. But yeah, so it started with complaints about Jair said J-Lo was a good quarterback. Oh, heaven forbid. God, what an awful thing. Like, why would somebody even mention that if you're talking about the Vikings and your title is all about the Vikings? In their opening segment, like I said. So I just thought that was interesting. That does confirm the Packers are living rent-free in the Viking fans' vacuous little pea brains.
Whoa.
Yeah, I've had a week too. I'm not gonna tell you.
Vacuous little pea brains. All right.
So another episode that I caught them complaining about the Chargers depicting them as Pop-Tarts. Now, that was the cutest thing on the planet. Remember when the Chargers did the schedule release and everybody was a food?
Every single team. Yeah.
Every team was a food, and they were just like, we don't get that Pop-Tarts thing. We don't get it.
Sorry, you guys have no sense of humor.
I know. I mean, I thought the Pop-Tarts was the best one. And now because it was the Vikings, it's just, how can you be upset about Pop-Tarts? Okay.
How? Yes.
Now, here's one that's going to get you right where it hurts, Maddie.
Okay.
They had an episode that I listened to predicting the win-loss record for the upcoming season, as we do, as many of our content creators do. But they couldn't do so without slandering Skyline Chili.
What? Why? Cincinnati catching strays over here. Come on.
What is wrong with them? They're just negative Nellies. And they did predict Green Bay would be, and they didn't predict any other team except the Packers and themselves. It was supposed to be about themselves, but they had to put Green Bay in there. So they predicted Green Bay would be 7W, 10L for Green Bay. Nobody asked. But before finally they predicted 10W and 7L for the Vikings. And they went through their logic on all of it, which I'm not going to repeat. But that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. It's good to be optimistic about your team, right? I mean, I think 6 wins is our floor. So if it's 7 that we win, that checks out. We don't know. But
we're good.
the Vikings, who they're going to come down to earth this year because of how many like 1-score games and how many kind of like lucky wins they had. Like I think it was like an unprecedented number of wins based on like point differential and stuff like that. So come on, guys, be for real. And like, why do you got to even bring the Packers into it? Just talk about
that's
your
the
team.
thing.
Like,
the Packers, the Bengals, chili, Pop-Tarts, what? So I will say though, they did admit that those wins were not like
okay.
Yeah, I respected that. I'm just giving you some of the funny stuff.
Mm-hmm.
On one podcast, they said they might not need to worry at all about the Lions. This is on the win-loss prediction because half their players would be suspended for gambling infraction.
In fact,
I mean half though. It's over 20 people, but yeah, very negative, like just hurling the insults left and right. They did have an emergency podcast when Z was let go, also when Dalvin Cook was let go. They had several podcasts about Dalvin Cook, which I was interested in listening to. I don't know if you know this. Another thing I picked up on, I might have forgotten, but they were concerned over Justin Jefferson missing OTAs.
Oh, I didn't know that happened. No.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing, I think it's got to do with maybe a contract situation. They were a little also concerned about how Kirk Cousins was handled. But yeah. So I covered Dalvin. And then the last thing regarding the team paying the lowest rent for things inside their heads is Devil, and that's Grossi in a Vikings jersey. That's really hard. That is really hard to take. That was awful, but good for Grossi doing that for the kids. For the kids,
exactly.
Yeah, so that's what I did. I did it so you didn't have to, folks. You're welcome. I just wanted to see what was out there. Also, just by way of review, in case anyone's interested, and I am, so I'm going to share it. The Vikings draft picks of 2023. Their first round pick was Jordan Addison, a wide receiver from USC. Their third round pick was Mekhi Blackman, cornerback from USC. And then their third pick was Jay Ward, defensive back. Their fourth pick, which was round 5, was Jacqueline, which it seems like a girl's name. I've never heard that as a boy's name. Jacqueline, it's a beautiful name. Jacqueline Roy. Unless it's not pronounced Jacqueline, but it's spelled just like my friend's name, which is Jacqueline. Roy, defensive tackle. LSU, they got Jaron Hall, we know, QB. That was in the 5th round. That might work out nicely for them. And then they got round 7, Dwayne McBride, a running back. So that's what they did with their draft. And I know we're so far away from the draft now as far as did they do well or not. I know the Lions did really well. Do you remember anything about speculating about what anyone thought about the pass or fail? How did they do?
I guess the stuff I heard about it, some people are like, it seems okay. I mean, they didn't have a lot of draft picks compared to most other teams in like most years, but like people are like, I guess it's okay. There wasn't any like really, extremely positive or negative stuff that I happened to run across about it. Put it that way. Yeah, kind of middle of the road. And they lost their 2nd round pick. I forgot why didn't they have a 2nd round pick? Hey, Lorenzo, how's it going? Lorenzo's going to Wisconsin for the first time soon. Tell us when you're going and what you're doing. So Pappy says a podcast about 6 wins sounds like a root canal. Exactly. Jacqueline is amazing at football. I believe that. Or floorball.
Or floorball. Did she mean floorball? What did you mean? I'm not sure. Anyway, so that was my sacrifice, everyone, to get us up to date on what those folks were thinking. It's enough for another year for me.
Taking a bullet for the fan base. Appreciate that, Dawn.
Taking the bullet. Yep. And so then we have the Lions, which won't be. No, wait. Yeah, I did the Bears, Vikings. And so next will be the Lions, which won't be anywhere near as painful, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Well, and I think it's so emblematic of the sort of like relationship between the Vikings and the Packers at this point, where we've said it a lot on this show over the years. I could say years, Don. Is
I know.
Like it doesn't feel like a fun rivalry. It doesn't feel like
no, it's not fun.
It's just like mean, and like
Yeah.
I think the Vikings to Packers is like that, and I think it's making the Packers to Vikings more like that too, which I don't like that at all. I've met a couple of like nice Vikings fans on Twitter, but most of them not great interactions,
Yeah.
So to hear that there's like a podcast where they're just like trashing the Packers, like as they're talking to everything, it's like, well, I guess it doesn't come as a surprise, but I don't know, man. I don't like it. As two people who are very positive, and I hear like spread positivity.
I know, right? That's why it was hard for me. I was like,
this
is really happening, but now I'm making fun of them too, which is what we do, and then the negativity continues.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's something about negativity. It's self-perpetuating, right? It feeds on itself even, and
So we're done with that. We're done with that.
That's right.
So I wanted to rip the Band-Aid off. I'm like, I committed to doing this, and it's like, okay, I'm just going to get it over with.
Oh, goodness.
So I listened to like 7 hours of Viking content.
That is a lot.
Thank
you, Dawn.
Too much.
Thank you for your service.
I did pick up on some. I mean, I'm not dissing the guy who does the podcast or anything. He had some great insights, very good voice, nice podcast, all that. Well produced, well put together. It was just like those things that probably didn't have to be mentioned. I just thought it was very notable because I don't hear that very often, and that kind of explains Florio. Actually, I just thought of this. Like he's part of that scene. It's a problem. Like, I know it's like gossip when you start and then it keeps going, right? And you have to have an intervention or something. Yes. Oh, and Pappy wants to know secrets about your hair.
Yeah, no, I can talk about that real fast before I get into my superlatives. So, Pappy, thank you. My hair is naturally wavy, and when it gets to this length, I'm getting a haircut this weekend because it's just getting really long and unmanageable. When it gets this long, it gets naturally wavy. And in the morning, I choose a little bit of product, a little bit of LA Hold to keep the curls in place, keep the waves in place, and then I just let it kind of like set, kind of dry, and then when it's gotten kind of crusty, I'll just scrunch out the crunch, and so it just it starts to look like hair again instead of like a helmet. But it's good. I'm lucky with the genes, I guess. My mom has really wavy hair. My grandpa on my dad's side had extremely wavy hair, so nope, just lucky.
And I've got skimpy hair. Okay, Pappy, I'll send you some of my aloe shampoo. You might like it because I have a lot of very curly haired people who love it because it's really good for curls. Really good for curls. Nice. I'll send you a sample too if you want it. So you didn't mention your shampoo. You just what do you use?
I use like I don't know what it is. It's the one that we have for my daughter. I just use it. So
okay, whatever.
I wash my hair once a week for what that's worth.
No more tears.
Because more than that, you're gonna strip all the stuff in it that you need, and less than that, it gets stinky. So there you go.
I probably wash my hair way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to wash it every day back in the day, and it was nothing. So yeah, for more body, don't wash it as much. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Don. Should I get into my superlatives here?
So what do you got, Maddie?
Yeah, I've got 3 good ones. We've mentioned before that since we record on Thursday nights, but since the audio podcast drops on Saturdays, for those who are listening, by the way, if you're listening, thank you. I really personally appreciate it. I really do. Which means that sometimes things that come out on Fridays, we'll miss them, not have a chance to talk about them. So I wanted to mention an article that our friend Robin Adams wrote for Wisconsin Sports Heroics. It's about a young man named Caden Dahl. And so Caden is a very inspirational young man. He was born with, let's see if I can get this off the top of my head here or call up the article fast enough. Basically, I think it's like he was born with about one arm and the other arm's really short or something. I want to make sure I get this right here because it's kind of important. So
yeah,
I'm going to stumble on this for a second. The article called up over here. But this child has been a sort of an ambassador of the Gilbert Brown Foundation. Of course, Gilbert Brown, the Gravedigger, one of our great Packers players of recent history. So his foundation has helped out Caden, and Caden's been like doing, kind of like I said, he's like an ambassador for the foundation. And the thing about this guy is like, he's gotten through life amazingly well without a right arm and a short left arm with just 2 fingers is what it is, and has done amazing things. It's inspirational, like never gives up, just keeps on doing good work for other people, and putting good energy out into the world. Yeah. So the Gilbert Brown Foundation recently actually bought him a car as sort of like a way of saying thanks for all the work that he does. So this is definitely a story you want to check out. Robin wrote it fantastically. He's a very good writer, of course. Yes. And it's a really great story just to hear about this guy, Caden Dahl. Just a really inspirational young man. I'm
surprised I missed that because Robin's comes up like first in my feed usually, not Twitter, but I don't know if it's Apple News or something, but it comes up first all the time. Wisconsin. I don't know how that happened, but it did.
Nice.
I like it.
Yeah.
I love that. So most heartwarming.
Most inspirational. Yeah.
Inspirational.
One of those two. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that's my first one. My second one, Don, is I had a good title for this, a good superlative title in the show doc. Then we had the problems because of the Russians. So I'm going to go with just most awesome pair, or maybe duo, or most awesome dynamic duo. I don't know. This is going to be the way how I tweeted about this was that sometimes you have a dream, where there's like this really amazing podcast, and maybe in dream logic it might be something completely crazy, like I heard Joe Rogan talking to a watermelon. Actually, that probably happened in real life, but it's like something that would seem like in a dream. And I don't like Joe Rogan, just make sure I'm clear about that. Like a thing that would make sense in a dream. And you wake up, you're like, oh, that would have been cool. And you're like, no, that's just a dream. But sometimes, Don, you wake up and that podcast actually happened. And so the one I'm talking about here was our friend Dusty Evely.
Yes.
To have 20 minutes to talk to me about the Packers with their offense. And it was just so cool.
It was great. Yeah.
It was Dusty had tweeted something about how he'd like to, talk to Mina and who can make this happen. And this is weeks ago now. And everyone jumped on. It was tagging Mina Kimes and hey, Dusty's awesome. Please make this happen. And Justice Mosqueda and Maggie Loney and Perry Goldstein have all recorded with Mina before. So, I'm guessing probably one of them, maybe got in her ear or something like that, kind of tried to make that happen. And so it did.
Yeah.
It was this week's Wednesday edition of the Pack-A-Day, so just Dusty with Mina. So no Steve, no Sarah. And yeah, it was so good. It was so good.
Yeah, it was so good. It's so funny because I don't think I was on Twitter much that day. And I was speaking on the phone with my sister. And she said, I got to hang up and go listen to Dusty and Mina podcast. And I was like, I got to too. So we just both listened to it. I was so glad she mentioned it because, I would have obviously heard about it, but
right, you would have seen it
about it sooner.
Yeah. That's the thing. I got to go listen to Dusty talking to Mina Kimes. Sounds like something from a really great dream, right? Then you wake up and it actually happened. So
I love that.
Really happy about that.
It was dreamy. Right. Most dreamy.
So my third one. My third one, unsung hero. So, we've been talking a lot about Tom Grossi. In fact, a side note about that, what? Today during my orientation sessions, one of the students I worked with is a big NFL fan. He's a Lions fan, actually. We had a great talk. We went way over our allotted time just talking about stuff because it was just before my lunch, so we had the kind of space to do that. Went 15 minutes over just talking about football. But at one point, we were talking about the sort of national folks who we pay attention to. He's a big Rich Eisen guy. I was like, hey, check out Mina Kimes, check out Robert Mays. And he was like, oh, do you know who Tom Grossi is? I was like, oh my God, yes. And I have a story for you about this. But this is random Lions fan who I'm going to be the advisor for. And this kid knows all about Tom Grossi. He's been following his stuff for a while.
That's
watching every video from the 30 and 30. So we had this great talk about Tom Grossi, and that was just awesome. So anyhow, we all know that Tom Grossi is doing amazing stuff, seeing all of the NFL stadiums in 30 days, raising money for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. This is stuff we've talked about on the show. If anybody's hearing this and doesn't know about it, I'd be very, very surprised at this point. But anyhow, with all the attention on Tom Grossi, it's really important to mention for a second here that the unsung hero, I think that people need to be aware of is Johnny Barks. That's the guy who's kind of traveling with him, doing a lot of the filming, a lot of the documenting, the editing of the videos at the end of the day to like post those in a timely fashion, and just kind of he's kind of like Robin to Tom Grassi's Batman, sort of his I'm trying to think of like the perfect sort of analogy of like how they work together from what we can see from the outside. And it's not even like a Batman and Robin thing. It's like I don't know. I'll think of it later, I guess, but maybe post about it. But suffice to say, I've corresponded with Johnny a little bit, like through DMs and stuff like that, and like on some posts and stuff. And dude, Johnny is like super nice dude, and like I'm really glad I've gotten to know him a little bit through this and just see the amazing work that he's doing with Tom and the differences they're making, the good energy they're putting out into the world. So, Johnny, man, I see you and I salute you, sir. You're crushing it. You guys both are. It's been amazing to watch it kind of unfold.
It really has been, and I think I mentioned that their last day will be here in Southern California. Not here. It's like a 4-hour excursion each way, 8 hours back and forth, maybe 10, depending on the traffic. I mean, I want to take the train, but you still have to get over to SoFi, and it's LA, So it depends on when they're coming. And so I wrote to Tyler, who's also crushing it on the because he's doing his graphics for this 30 and 30 hashtag 30 in 30. And I was like, does he have any, like, I know it's not going to be even remotely exact, but like a window of time. So I know if I need to leave at 7 a.m. or 5 p.m, because I don't want to be sitting around in LA all day, if I don't have to. But so he's going to let me know the day before, which is also when I am having my last procedure. So I'll know. I won't know until the day before if I'm going or not. I'm dying to go.
I hope you're able to make it.
I hope so. I'm going to talk to Jamie Cheesebutt, friend of the show, this weekend, and get it together with her too. So hopefully we'll both go. That's the plan. I
hope so. I can't wait to hear about it, see pictures, talk about it the following week and all that kind of good stuff.
Oh yeah. I bet it'll be really cool too for him because it's the last one. So all that, and hopefully he'll have a total or be close to a total. And we might have to, do everybody might have to do emergency podcast to get him over the line there.
I mean, the fact that like the original goal of 100,000 he smashed in like 9 days, and it's just it's just gravy at this point. Like he's past 250,000. I don't know where.
Yeah, where is he at? I was looking for the counter last night.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay,
but just
I thought he was over 300,000 already. Close to
probably. But I mean, if like the NFL teams like did a last minute, jump in and contribute a bunch each, like, wouldn't that be amazing? That'd be so cool.
That'd be so good. That would be so good. We'll see. They're probably watching by now. Now they're starting to hear about him. He's been all over the news stations, wherever he goes. Local people are talking about him, all that. So yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be really, however it finishes, it's great. Yeah. I hope he doesn't have to get a tattoo though. I mean,
it would mean he got to 1 million. I mean, I don't know. It's
yeah,
a little good, a little bad there. So
yeah. Well, those are great superlatives, Maddie.
Thank you.
Glad they came together for you, despite the lack of
Russian interference.
What a night. What a night. All right, kids. Well, any final thoughts before we wrap things up for the day, for the night?
No, I just want to mention that next week, actually, I think it is, right? My cousin is going to be on.
That's right.
My cousin Brad, who lives in Appleton, will be on, so we can hear a little bit more about him and kind of his awesome life. And I'm looking forward to talking to him on the show. And then I think after that, I'll be off for 2 weeks if I have my dates right here, right? So we'll have some good shows lined up with Dawn and some special guests while I'm out, just like I had a chance to have some special guests while Dawn was out. So the next few episodes got some really good stuff lined up for everybody, and so I'm excited about that.
Glad you remembered to mention that. Yes.
Yeah, and otherwise, I think I was going to mention before, Dawn, that one thing I'm really happy about these days is that it's blueberry season. So people, the produce, this is like peak produce for a lot of parts of the country right now. Don't let that pass you by. Get to your farmers markets, get to your grocery stores if they handle if they carry local stuff. blueberries right now in Ohio are coming in, and then the Michigan blueberries will be happening soon, and they're even better.
Oh yes, so
get yourself a handful of good blueberries and just enjoy the summer, people. Enjoy the summer.
Stone fruit is in right now, so cherries, peaches,
really good peaches this week.
Yeah. Oh, that's my faves is the stone fruit. Oh my god, I could just like live on cherries.
Cherries are great. Yeah, and again, Michigan cherries are amazing. So
yeah. Well,
thanks, Michigan.
Thank you, Michigan. We have, of course, a lot of fruit that we can just get locally here, which is great. It's funny when I go to Wisconsin to visit, we go to the market and I get like cherries from California. Even though there's in Door County. It's so funny. But that's business. That's big business. One of the things I also wanted to mention, we are season 2, episode 42. And the title of this episode is Are We There Yet? Because that means there's only 10 more episodes and 10 more weeks till football. And our 3rd season.
That's very exciting. Yeah, it's going to be her fun. I know it's like the dead part where like there's no training camps happening. It's like a month where the only sport is, baseball with like, your sort of like U.S. soccer teams are happening. And I only know that because the one in Cincinnati is actually really good this year, like right now, which is weird. But it's not a lot going on for the world of sports, but
there is in tennis.
It's okay. Oh yeah, there's tennis. There you go. Yeah.
Wimbledon, I think is this week. Wimbledon's coming up real quick. So we're now in the grass season.
It's time to become a tennis fan, folks, is what it is.
Oh, so wonderful. So wonderful. It's so good. But when I start watching, I can't stop. So I'm just, I did my French Open thing, and that's because I really had to lay there for 2 weeks. But now it's like, I want to kind of get moving again a little bit. I'm so out of shape. I am so out of shape and not getting any younger. So, I don't want to get like one of these people. I've seen this where people just wake up one day and they can't move because you're not moving around enough. Yeah, and I used to be so active, and then now I'm like not at all right now. So it's I'm feeling I signed up for a wall Pilates challenge for 3 months.
Okay.
So you use the wall instead of a machine that contorts you and stuff. And I did my first one last night. It's pretty easy, but it gets harder.
Well, this is the week. This is the week where you start to get more active, get back into it, Dawn. Yep. Big week for you. You'll look back on it fondly.
Yes, I will. And we have a Pilates across the street, and I'm like, I don't want to go over there. I can literally see it from my windows, and I'm like, I don't want to be with people. They'll be breathing and stuff. Gross. And then there's a new dance studio next to that, and I would love to take some dance classes again. That's been a long time since I've done that. I think that would be great. So right now I'm just like drinking my tea and standing on my balcony and watching them do ballet. I'm getting fat. So I need to do something about that for sure. Well, Maddie, it's good to see you. Sorry about all your frustrating day. All
just good. It's all good. Yeah. So should I bring it home here, Dawn?
Let's bring her home.
All right. Well, friends, of course, you'll find links in our show description for everyone we mentioned. So please check it out. Also, we'd love to have the chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
Yes, that's right, Maddie, because we love you. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL. We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod. And we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme,